Um, I have been thinking recently that, by the way, go ahead and move to your mat and be on your backs. If you're not there already, lie down on your back. And if you would, if you're comfortable with this, place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. One hand on your belly, one hand on your chest. And just start to belly breathe here, if you would. So relax the abdominal muscles, relax the belly. And as with every inhale, expand the diaphragm. See if you can pull all that breath down into the belly. And with every exhale, we contract the belly. So I've been thinking about breath lately. And I think that as yogis, we are uniquely positioned to understand this concept that I'm going to kind of touch on this evening, and that is the importance of breath to the human experience. And I would suggest that we value and prize our breath instinctively without even fully realizing it on a day-to-day basis. And I think that is because we can't breathe water, and because breath is such a indicator of the life force. The ancient Greeks actually used to refer to the breath with the same word as spirit and soul, because they referred to the breath as the life principle. And by that I mean they would look at a living person who was lying down with their eyes closed, and they would look at a corpse, and the only difference that they saw is that one was breathing and one was not. And so they were like, okay, the thing that separates the living from the dead is breath. And to our modern minds, because we have science, we could say, oh, that's kind of simplistic. But really, I think there's a much deeper meaning in that, that we prize the breath, we value the breath over most other of our life processes. And the way I know that is because try depriving somebody of their breath for 20 seconds and they will freak out on you, right? You can go without food for 20 seconds. You can go without water for 20 seconds. You can go without most of your physical necessities for 20 seconds, but 20 seconds without breathing, without the ability to breathe, and panic sets in. And I think I've been thinking about this even more recently because of George Floyd. His words, "I can't breathe," strike a chord with us. And when you are deprived of your ability to breathe, and when you see another human that is deprived of their ability to breathe, it causes empathy. Or even this coronavirus in a broader sense, the experience that we're having of COVID, this pandemic, is it attacks our lungs. And I think that is particularly scary to us. One of the reasons we are particularly afraid of this specific virus is because we're afraid to not be able to breathe, and we hold that so dearly and so closely. And so I invite you to, for this evening, for our practice together, get really present with the reality that you can breathe. You have a healthy respiratory system. You are able to take a breath from moment to moment. There's no one depriving you of your breath. There's no disease depriving you of your breath. And for at least the foreseeable future, your breath is what is bringing you life. And that is worth being grateful for. And so take it through a few more nice, deep belly breaths on your mat here this evening, and we'll get started together. now start to move, reach the arms overhead toward the back, point the toes toward the front, and take a deep breath and a full body stretch from fingers to toes. And on the exhale, hug both knees to the chest, rounding the spine. Inhale, arms overhead. Keep tension in the belly as you reach and extend. Exhale, hug the knees to the chest. Last time, inhale, reach, extend. Exhale, knees to the chest. And then let's roll up and down the length of the spine. And when you're ready, roll all the way up to a seated position. So we're going to pause here in our seated position for some seated breathing, some side stretching. So get nice and comfortable. You could be cross-legged, or if you prefer to take a kneeling position and work on that ankle extension flexibility, you can do that too. All right, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, pull it to heart center. Inhale. Exhale. On your own time, on your own pace, take it through 5 more full rounds of breath. See just how slow you can go. Notice that breath moving through your body. All right, now lightly float your hands down to your lap. You could lightly rest them on your knees. You could go palms down or palms up. It's totally up to you. And we're going to do some seated cat-cow. So some forward-backward flexion of the spine, but seated. And so you're used to this because you do this in tabletop. I'm going to turn sideways just so that you can see that forward-backward flexion. So as you inhale, draw the sternum forward, roll the shoulder blades down and back, gaze goes up. Exhale to round the spine, let the chin fall forward, gaze is down toward the belly button. Inhale for the back bend, gaze goes up. Find as much range of motion as you can in this seated position. Exhale to round. Take it through 5 more full rounds on your own time. Take it as slow as you possibly can. And next we're going to explore some side-to-side movement. So still seated, either kneeling or cross-legged. Let's inhale, arms overhead. And then on the exhale, plant the right hand alongside the right side of the body and reach up and over, nice long side stretch. So the idea here, just a reminder, is that you don't want to collapse down forward toward the floor. You want to keep your shoulder lifted and elevated in this lateral side bend. Inhale back to center. And exhale up and over to the left side, nice long side, stretch down the whole right. Inhale back to center. Exhale up and over to the right. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Cactus arms on the exhale, little back bend, gaze goes up. Inhale. Let's do a couple more. Exhale, cactus arms. Inhale. Last time, exhale, cactus arms, gaze goes up. Inhale. And exhale, hands to heart center. Close your eyes for a moment, relax your shoulders. Maybe give your shoulders a couple rolls to the right, to the left. Maybe turn your chin to the right, to the left, and maybe start to explore some organic movements for the neck here. So drop one ear towards your shoulder, other ear towards your shoulder, or you might do some rotations, turning one shin over your shoulder, right to left, or some forward, backward flexion of just the neck. So start to explore that here. And you can keep your hands at heart center, or you could float them down into your lap, totally up to you. So we're moving very slowly and intentionally here at the beginning of our practice. There's no rush. All right, now float your eyes open, come on back to center, and then interlace the hands behind the back. Roll the shoulders together and down towards one another. And just hang out here for a few breaths here. So just start to stretch out the fronts of the shoulders across the front of the chest. And if you want to do some double duty here, you could keep going with a little bit of neck, some more warming up of the neck, turning to your chin to the right, to the left. All right, now unclasp the hands, bring the hands back together, and we're gonna do one more thing for the upper back before we get moving into our hips here. This is a, I've heard these referred to as shoulder squeezes. I don't think that's a thing, but what you will do is draw your elbows towards your waist and flip the palms up as though you're carrying a pizza box. And then the idea here is draw the palms away from each other out to the sides until you feel your shoulder blades squeeze together behind your back, and then bring it back to center. So go ahead and do 10 or 12 of these just on your own time, on your own pace. Really feel the muscles between your shoulder blades activating in that upper back. Chances are these muscles didn't get much of a chance to work today, or if they did, then they're still probably a little bit sore, maybe a little bit atrophied from just the general shape that we put ourselves in of hunching forward. And so this is a great counterbalance to just bring awareness and switch on those muscles in the upper back. Fun tip, this is just the sort of thing that you could do maybe every hour on the hour. You stand up and do a set of 20 of these, set a little timer. Your upper back and your shoulders will thank you later for this. All right, go ahead and make your way into tabletop here. Bring your shoulders over your wrists. And let's start to stretch out the ankles, the backs of the legs. So pick up your right leg and just kick it straight back out behind you into kind of a plank position, but you've got one knee down on the earth. And maybe start to draw some little circles with your ankle over the ball of the foot here. And maybe switch directions. And then bring it back to tabletop, and let's do the other side. Keep the left leg straight and draw some little circles with the ankle. All right, come on back to tabletop. Curl the toes under, shift the body weight back onto the balls of the feet. Now spread the fingers nice and wide, straighten up the elbows, take an inhale, and on the exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. And pedal the feet, right, left, right, left. All right, we're gonna flow back and forth from downward facing dog to plank. Inhale, forward to plank, fire up the core, tuck the tailbone under ever so slightly. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Forward to plank on the inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Forward to plank on the inhale. Now lower the knees, bring the big toes to touch, settle it back to child's pose. on the exhale. So in child's pose, your forehead is on the mat, your big toes touch, your knees are nice and wide, settle the tailbone toward the heels. And maybe come back to those belly breaths, because when you're here in child's pose and you can expand and contract the belly with your breath and there's space for you, maybe you really just lean into those breaths here for the next few moments. All right, now press the palms into the earth, curl the toes under, take an inhale. And on the exhale, straighten the legs, lift the hips, take it back to downward facing dog. Glance up at the hands and take a lot of steps to walk your feet forward to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Let's take it through a few half sun salutations here at the top of the mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Another half sun salutation. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. All right, we're gonna use our breath to build a little bit of heat here in the body. And if you have been to my Monday bodyweight training class, then you've done this before, but I think I made this up. I'm gonna call it skier breaths. And so the idea here is step your feet about hip distance apart and come into a little bit of a quarter squat. So bend the knees, bend the hips. And now on the inhale, I want you to bring the arms overhead. And on the exhale, I want you to violently sweep the arms back behind you. Inhale. Inhale. Blow it all out. 8 more. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one. And come up to standing and find some stillness here. Maybe flip the palms forward, maybe close your eyes for a moment. And just notice all the movement in your body, right? You got your blood flowing, you got your breath moving. All right, let's take it through a couple of halves, or a full sun salutation. So come on back up to the top of your mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, step it back to plank, lower all the way to the earth, reverse push-up, keep the elbows close to the body. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 long, slow breaths in downward facing dog. At the end of that second exhale, glance up at the hands and walk, step, or you can float your feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Since we've been practicing together for a while, you're probably pretty familiar with sun salutations. And so I'm gonna do something a little bit different, and I'm trusting that you can follow along here. We're gonna take it through 3 full sun salutations. I will cue the inhales and the exhales just if you want to stay on track with me. But if your breathing is slower or faster than me, please feel free to go at the pace of your own breath. 3 full sun salutations, and we will all meet back at the end at the top of the mat standing. All right, here we go. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Top of the 3rd sun salutation. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. That's the end of the 3rd sun salutation. So again, just pause, find some stillness. Maybe your hands are at heart center, maybe your arms are down by your side. But again, notice the impact of the movement of your body and particularly the movement of your breath. That's one of the beautiful things about yoga is that we pair our movement with our breath. And that's what makes it hard, but also that's where the benefit comes from, is because we're training both of those systems at the same time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step it back to plank and take it through a flow. Now inhale, lift the right leg, lead with the heel. Exhale, step it through next to the right thumb. Keep the back heel lifted, and on the inhale, rise for crescent lunge. Pause here in crescent lunge for a couple breaths. Have a soft bend in that back knee. Tuck the tailbone under to get that stretch in the left hip flexor. And now, a little bit of a challenge for the upper back, shoulder flexibility. Seal the palms together here in crescent lunge. Squeeze the elbows toward the sides of the head, the biceps toward the ears, and then bend at the elbows and bring the palms behind the back of the neck, really lifting the elbows toward the sky as you simultaneously keep squeezing them towards each other. So really active in the upper back. Inhale, arms overhead again. Exhale, hands to the mat, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Left side. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step it through next to the left thumb. Find your balance. Inhale, rise for crescent lunge. So keep that front knee bent directly over the front ankle. Back heel is lifted. Soft bend in the back knee. And now same thing, we're gonna do that active training in the upper back. Squeeze the shoulder, or squeeze the elbows toward one another. Seal the palms. And then as you squeeze the biceps against the sides of the head, bend at the elbows and bring the hands behind the neck here, really lifting toward the sky with the elbows. So you should feel your shoulder blades sliding together toward one another and even forward towards your sternum. On the next inhale, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to the mat, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Two long, slow breaths in downward facing dog. And at the end of that exhale, glance up at the hands, walk, step, or float your feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. All right, we're gonna add a little bit to it. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, take it through a flow. Right side, inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step it through. Inhale for crescent lunge, seal the palms. And on the exhale, bring the hands behind the neck here and stay for a full round of breath as you squeeze the elbows toward one another. Find that lift. Inhale, arms overhead. Warrior two on the exhale. Flip the right palm up, inhale, reach forward. Exhale, reverse warrior, gaze goes up. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, circle the hands to the earth, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Other side, inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step it through. Find your balance, inhale, arms overhead for crescent lunge. Seal the palms, bend at the elbows. Bring the hands behind the neck here. Squeeze the elbows toward one another. And stay for a full round of breath. Inhale, arms overhead. Warrior two on the exhale. Lift the left palm up, inhale, reach forward. Exhale, reverse warrior, gaze goes up. Inhale, back to warrior two. Exhale, circle the hands to the earth, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Now lower the knees to the earth, bring the big toes to touch, and settle it back to child's pose. As you have you can either have your arms reaching forward in child's pose, or you can sweep them down alongside your sides. Another thing too that you can do in child's pose, since we've been working on the upper back and since we've been taking that really active upper back position, you can do that same thing in child's pose. And so what that would look like is if you walk your elbows or walk your palms toward one another, seal the palms, and also walk the elbows toward one another, and then bend the elbows and bring the hands behind the neck in that prayer position. And what's cool about taking this shape in child's pose is that you're using the floor to kind of help get that lift in the elbows. And so it's less about being active in the upper back. And now you get to really almost massage those upper back muscles with your scapula. So pretty cool. Hang out here as long as you want. I particularly love this stretch here. Nice deep breaths. All right, go ahead and bring it back to child's pose, and then curl the toes under, take an inhale. Then on the exhale, take it back to downward facing dog, and pedal the feet, right, left, right, left. Glance up at the hands, walk, step, or float your feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to stand, sweep the arms. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. All right, so for our standing balancing, we're going to do a quadricep hip flexor stretch We've definitely done this before. So shift all of your body weight to your left leg and start by just bringing the right knee up in line with the hip. Get nice and comfortable with your balancing pose here. Check in with your standing leg. Find that point out on the floor that you can look at that's helping you stay balanced and helping you stay steady and stable. And then with control, bring that right leg around behind your hip, and I'm just gonna grab hold of it with my right hand. If you want to try building some flexibility in your shoulders and in your across the front of the chest, you might try reaching back and grabbing hold of that foot with both hands, right? It starts to build that flexibility across the fronts of the shoulders here. Also helps with your posture, make sure you stay upright and also keeps your shoulders square toward the top of the mat. So check in with your right knee. You don't want it to splay out to the side. You don't want to borrow that flexibility from the inner thigh. Keep pulling the knees toward one another like they're magnetized. And so the idea here is that we're getting a little bit of stretch in the quadricep, and also think about tucking the tailbone under to get that stretch in the hip flexor here. All right, and with control, without slingshotting it, on the next inhale, bring that leg forward, lift it high for a standing leg raise, bring the arms overhead for 3, 2, 1, exhale everything down. Nice job. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Shift all of your body weight to your right leg and bring the left knee up in line with the hip. So again, start by checking into that standing leg. The knee is straight, the hips are level. Find that point that you can look at, somewhere that's out in front of you, something that's not moving. And then with control, reach back, grab hold of that left foot. And then if you did so on the other side, you might grab hold of it with both hands. Nice deep breaths. We're here for a few breaths, and so you don't have to get right into the fullest expression of whatever stretch, whatever your outer limits are today. At the beginning of the stretch, you can work your way into it. After a few breaths, maybe you tuck the tailbone under ever so slightly, and then even more so. All right, so we're gonna do a standing leg raise on this side. So release the foot, and without slingshotting it, with control, inhale, bring that left leg in line with the hip, foot is flexed, arms overhead for 3, 2, 1. Exhale everything down, nice job. I'm hopeful that you're building a little bit of strength in the upper range of those hip flexors with these leg raises. It seems like I am. All right, so from the top of the mat, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Take it through a flow. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step it through. Crescent lunge on the inhale. Warrior 2 on the exhale. Now straighten the right front leg. Pivot on the right heel so that both feet are parallel. I'm going to turn around. So both feet are parallel. Interlace the hands behind the back. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, hinge forward and down. So the idea here is that you're using gravity to pull the hands up and overhead. If interlacing the hands is not accessible to you today, then grab a block or a strap. You could even do this with a sock in between your two hands. Basically anything that increases the distance between your hands ever so slightly is totally fine. All right, now bring the hands back to the low back, come on up to standing. And since we're here in this wide leg fold, let's shorten up our stance. a little bit. I shortened it up by about a third. So I've got just a couple feet in between my 2 feet. I'm going to take a nice low squat here. Plant your hands alongside on top of the knees, and we're just going to drop one shoulder then the other. Nice rotation here for the upper back. Drop one shoulder then the other. And by the way, if you want to widen your stance, if that would feel really nice, getting more into your inner thighs here, we're here for a few moments. So just have this be a nice organic stretch for your inner thighs, your upper back, the fronts of your shoulders. You can even bring your neck into this little stretching party by turning your chin up toward the sky. See how that impacts your twist here. So good. All right, go ahead and come on back out of it. And then re-pivot on that right heel. Inhale, arms out, shoulder level, coming into warrior 2. Exhale, circle the hands, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. Left side, inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step it through. Crescent lunge on the inhale. Warrior 2 on the exhale. Now straighten the left front leg, pivot on the left heel. Interlace the, actually this time we're going to do that rotation. So arms are out shoulder level, exhale, fold over the legs. Plant the hands beneath the face and maybe walk the hands back in line with the feet. And now plant the left hand beneath the face. Inhale, reach the right fingertips toward the sky. So find that rotation here in the upper back. And maybe find that wrap around the backside waist. Inhale, unwind, and exhale back to center. Same thing on the other side. So plant the right hand beneath the face. Inhale, reach the left fingertips toward the sky. Exhale, maybe find the wrap around the backside waist on this side. Inhale to unwind. And exhale, bring it back to center. All right, bring your hands to your hips, come all the way up to standing. We're gonna do a slightly different variation of that wide horse, that wide squat horse pose. And so shorten the distance between your feet again. And you can find a little bit more stability by turning slightly out with the toes. And what I want you to do first is sink down into a really low squat. So this is called horse pose. Some people also call it goddess pose because it looks like one of those like iconic goddess poses. So here's what we're gonna do. As we're hanging out in this low squat, and remember, keep driving the knees out to the side. So there's a little bit of an active stretch in the inner thighs here as you're engaging the outer hips to keep driving the knees out wide. Don't let them collapse toward each other. Now we're gonna take that active upper body that we did in child's pose, and we also did it in crescent lunge. So inhale, arms overhead, seal the palms, press the elbows toward one another, and can you bring the palms behind the head? So really active in the upper back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, sink as low as you can in the squat. We're not gonna hang out here for very long. Remember to breathe. Inhale, arms overhead again, and stand all the way up. Nice job. There's a lot going on there. Lots of active balance and also gripping and stabilizing in the upper back. Okay, we're gonna come out of this one the way we came into it. So go ahead and pivot on that left leg. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, circle the hands to the earth, step it back to plank, take it through a flow. All right, go ahead and lower the knees to the earth and take it into tabletop. And just to kind of start to neutralize the spine here, we're going to take it through a few rounds of cat-cow, so forward, backward flexion of the spine. So keep going. I'm just checking the time because I forgot my watch. So basically, I have set us up for my all-time least favorite pose. We are going to do camel pose. And I don't like doing this, and I don't usually teach it because I don't like doing it. But you know, those of you who become yoga teachers in this world, or are yoga teachers, know that that just because you don't like something doesn't mean other people don't like it, and that there is a lot to be learned and a lot of growth to be found in practicing and teaching the things that you don't like doing. So, welcome to Cecily's journey of development. And thank you for doing camel pose with me. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Come on up to a kneeling position. So there's a few layers for camel pose. And I don't take it all the way up to the top layer. I stay in the first, maybe the second layer. So the thing to remember about camel pose is that it is a back bend, but it is not so much about the low back as it is about the upper back. That's why we did a lot of work in the upper back, really opening up that upper back, able to squeeze the shoulder blades together. So I want you to think about, in camel pose, I want you to think about drawing that sternum forward and up, right? So the action here is mostly in the upper back. If you don't feel your upper back bending in camel pose, it means you're borrowing all that flexibility from your low back, which is fine, but your low back already bends that way. And so we're working on building that flexibility in the upper back, which is why camel pose is so challenging for most people. So what I want you to feel in your body is I want you to feel your sternum going forward and up. And by the time you're in the back bend part, it's mostly gonna feel like it's going up toward the sky. So I'm gonna keep saying lift, lift with the sternum. All right, so what you're gonna do first is bring your hands to your low back and have your palms facing toward the earth in the direction of your tailbone. So you're supporting your low back here. So the first step is to lift the sternum toward the sky, your gaze goes up. All right, this might be as far as you go because you might already be feeling a bit of a back bend in the upper back here. Really draw the sternum toward the sky, and to keep this back bend out of the low back, think about tucking the tailbone under. All right, if you feel like you could take this a step further, maybe start to shift as you keep that lift in the upper back. Maybe start to shift one hand and then the other hand back to your heels. So you are supporting yourself with your hands on your heels while still lifting with the sternum toward the sky. And if that's feeling really good, then maybe you can drop your head back and look at the wall behind you. I hate that part. Lift, lift, lift with your sternum toward the sky. Tuck the tailbone under. It's not about the low back, it's about the upper back. All right, now slowly with control, one hand at a time, we're gonna come out of this and let's just finish it out in a kneeling pose. All right, you can bring your hands to your legs, you can bring your hands to your heart. This is a pretty extreme heart opener, so lots of stretching across the front of the chest. All right, anything worth doing is worth doing twice. So we're gonna do camel pose one more time. And this time, if you liked camel pose and if you feel like you could maybe do something fun in it, there's a fun variation you can take. I'm not gonna do it, but there's a fun variation you can take where you do a little twist where you're holding on, your one foot is down here, and then you'll do one side a couple breaths and you'll bring it back to center, and then you'll do the other side a couple breaths. So you might try that. I'll cue it, but I'm not gonna do it. All right, so we're gonna get back into it exactly the way we did before. Start with the hands on the low back. So we're supporting the low back here. Tuck the tailbone under, squeeze the glutes, right? And so we're getting a little bit of flexibility in our hip flexors here. So a back bend, just if you recall, stretches everything along the front side of the body. Gaze is up toward the sky. Lift with the sternum, feel that lift toward the sky, tucking under with the tailbone. It's not about the low back. When you're ready, reach back for your heels. Keep finding that lift across the sternum. Fight for that flexibility in the upper back, not the low back. And maybe drop your head back to complete the stretch. And if you would like to take that little twist in camel pose where you reach one hand toward the sky, maybe explore that. It's kind of fun for some people. And then let's come on out of it, nice and slow, back to a kneeling position. All right, so we're gonna do some counter balances or counter poses, counter stretches here in this kneeling position. But first, I just invite you to just do some organic side to side, maybe some floor, maybe some seated cat cow, some side to side stretching. Just kind of worm it out, right? Draw some little circles with your rib cage. Do some shoulder rolls, maybe neutralize those muscles along the spine. Nice. Okay, now we're going to go side to side. Inhale, arms overhead. And on the exhale, plant the right hand alongside the right side body. Reach up and over. Right back where we started. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, up and over. Inhale. One more time each side. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And now we're going to take a really lovely counter stretch to camel pose. So with your knees together, what I want you to do is I want you to tuck your chin to your chest. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that little chin tuck and you're going to roll your head forward down onto the mat. I'm not going to talk while I'm doing it because I'm not wearing my microphone, so I need to talk to the laptop. You're going to tuck your chin and roll your head forward down onto the mat, coming into rabbit pose, I think this is called. I don't know. And have your arms down by your sides. Maybe you can reach your heels. Depending on your anatomy, you might be able to grab hold of your heels. And we're just going to hang out here in this expression of the pose. So it's a pretty intense rounding of the spine here. A nice little counter stretch to camel. All these animal named poses. Weird. Okay, slowly come on out of it. And go ahead and bring the legs around in front of you. Lie down on your back. And just loosely hug your knees to your chest. Gently roll side to side. So now you're massaging the muscles along the spine. And keep hold of the right knee. Release the left leg down onto the earth. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, draw that right leg across the body to the left as your gaze goes out to the right. Bring it on back to center. And before you just go right into it on the other side, maybe hug the knees to the chest one more time. Gently roll side to side. And then let's do the other side. So keep hold of the left leg, release the right leg down onto the earth. Take an inhale. And on the exhale, draw the left leg across the body to the right as the gaze goes out to the left. All right, bring it on back to center. Hug both knees to the chest, gently roll side to side. And then let's slowly make our way into our final resting pose. Whatever that looks like for you this evening is the right choice. Relax your limbs, relax your breath, relax your thoughts. Close your eyes. Shavasana. And slowly begin to reawaken the body. Wiggle the fingers, the toes, roll out the wrists, the ankles. Take a deep breath, reach the arms overhead. From fingers to toes, stretching everything in between. And then on the exhale, roll over to one side. And then when you're ready, make your way back up to a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you. Close your eyes when you get there. Lightly rest your hands on your knees. I find this moment of stillness to be almost a beacon when I can think back over other moments that I have sat in this space, in this time, in the moments following a practice. Too many to count. And express gratitude for those experiences. And also experience gratitude for the too many to count moments like this I will have in the future. On the next inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, pull that breath to heart center. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through your practice. Have a beautiful evening. Namaste.